Wonderful. This is where the music comes in, and then we're on the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chilluminati podcast, episode 54. How has your week's been, boys? How's your couple weeks been? We had the minisode compilation last week out, so I haven't got really to hang with you. It's
been largely the same.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know, in terms of what I've been up to, same old.
Same old. That's about it for me as well, with a heightened anxiety each day.
Yeah. Yeah. outside of my own job and work, the entire nation is changing before our very eyes. It's beautiful and terrible at the same time.
It's history, boys. It's history.
Yeah.
Well, as always, I'm one of your hosts, Mike Martin, joined by two co-hosts, Jesse Cox. Hello, Jesse.
Yo, what up?
Hello. And Alex. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm excited for today. We're kind of bringing it back to basics. We're going a little less intense, as like the last thing I brought to the table was Skinwalker Ranch. So I'm kind of pumped for today. And I think, Jesse, while you may not believe it, or you may believe it to a certain extent, I think you're really going to enjoy this episode.
I'll enjoy it. I have no doubt about that. Will I believe it?
I don't know.
For $10,000, I will.
All right.
That's true. $10,000.
Oh, yeah.
Our Patreon is available for you to go support us right now on patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod. Patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod is on the website.
Yep. We've got last two goals that we've got up there right now is 9,000, which gets us an audio engineer. So I have to stop doing the audio balancing on this show.
If you guys are upset with Mathis because of what happens to the audio on this podcast sometimes, first of all,
only once in a great while does it get effed up.
First of all, it's not his fault. Second of all, if you come support us at patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod, not only will we never have that problem again, but also there's 1 million minisodes available every time we put out an episode.
Don't say 1 million. You're gonna be held accountable for that.
That's true.
There are what seems to me like 1 million, but could be way less.
Are you running for office? What are you doing right now?
Look, if you head to patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod, your life will get better.
Don't do that.
No questions. Just we like your support. Please come support us if you can. That's not the point of the show. Please just keep
right now.
There are
10 minisodes on the Patreon, and 2 more will be dropping after this episode. So it'll be a bunch up there for you guys to grab exclusively for you. Thank you for your support. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to open this with
I don't know what we're getting
I'm going to open this with a question, gentlemen. I'm going to open this with a question.
Oh my God.
To the two of you. When I say cryptid, what's the first thing that comes to your minds? Like, what cryptids are the first ones that tend to pop up?
Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot,
yeah, of course.
Jersey Devil,
Mothman.
My
is
man,
a big
the
one.
Mothman.
All the big ones.
Bigfoot.
All typical, and all of them all here, obviously, in like the U.S., North America. Chupacabra's out there.
Is
those are all
real. What do we think?
No.
The jackalope?
No. Silly question. Of course not.
Why do I feel like
don't you do that where you're like silly question, of course not, and then give that look like
There's no look. It's an audio podcast.
In my mind, Alex is just like he just highlighted the document for his next episode and just hit delete.
I'm just hanging out. My next episode was this one's true.
The jackalope.
Yeah, jackalope.
The jackalope. Well, yeah, it's the same thing for me too, right? We think of like, and then we did like when we did the live show, the Dover Demon and all that, the weird stuff. Everything's kind of weird, very humanoid with wings or some sort of alien-esque creature, or some kind of hybrid monster like the
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
Show up and they do something at night.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. But where we're gonna go, the world is huge, and there are cryptids of all types around the world. And why we never hear of them often beyond the ones here in the U.S. is I wish we did. There's so many interesting other creatures out there that should make their way to our knowledge. Now, the initial plan for this episode was actually to do Ecuadorian specific cryptids, specifically because we have one confirmed apparent listener out in Ecuador who's listening to our podcast, and I was like, you know what? Let's do an Ecuadorian
one episode super surreal for them.
Well, yeah, let's just like blow their minds
in your backyard right now.
In your however, I ran into a problem when I could only find one cryptid from Ecuador called the Chiencachen, with only one account of having encountered it from the 1930s outside of folklore type stories from the past.
Sounds like
fun
an
fact,
onomatopoeia of like some type of percussion instrument.
and I'm sure I'm messing it up horribly as well, the pronunciation, but I'm trying. Fun fact, though, that Tianqiqian looks like a jaguar, has rainbow fur on its chest, and has grabby little monkey paws for hands.
It sounds like something that would guide me through like some type of acid trip.
Wait, time out. How is it the only thing you found? In a cursory search of Ecuador paranormal, I found this on Reddit, and why are we not talking about this?
What are you talking about?
Creepy
Reddit?
Ecuadorian gnomes? Anyone care to verify?
Well,
a few years back,
Gnomes
I had a
are-
friend from Ecuador. She told me about a very creepy story about gnomes that lived in her house. It started out like any fairy tale story. Little men who lived in the walls.
No,
usually
that's
pulled
not how
harmless
any fairy
pranks
tale
or-
stories start.
Usually pulled harmless pranks or helped out of the house. Think elves and the shoemaker. But then it got creepy. Apparently, these gnomes are also known to wait until nighttime, then repeat all the conversations that occurred during the day. They do this word for word in mocking tones.
that sounds like
My
A,
friends-
Jeff the Mongoose, for one. And B, also, gnomes aren't specific to Ecuador. They are a
Yes,
world.
but these are Ecuadorian gnomes.
Sure. I'm talking about hyper specific to an area, and they aren't seen elsewhere in the world.
Well, this guy's saying it's also seen in Mexico,
Right.
from old Aztec sites and ruins. Oh my God.
What the
We've sent Jesse down a hole.
I love that. I love that it could be Aztec related. Oh my God. I love that.
Beyond that, though, you don't want this as your trip guide, Alex. It's hyper aggressive and can multiply itself when it attacks, like Mirror Image from Dungeons and Dragons. Like it can just
I'm ready.
have a
Take
bunch.
me. I'll go on a journey with the multiplying aggressive rainbow panther. I'm ready.
Jaguar.
Jaguar.
Excuse me.
Yes, I'm
Jaguar.
sorry, my bad.
The Shuar Indians consider it to be the most dangerous of all jungle animals. So there you go. There's your little Ecuador peek into like their very specific cryptid. And that's all I could really find on things that are specific there. So instead, today's episode isn't about Ecuador. We're going to go way broader. Today, we are doing African cryptids as a whole. Or at least a couple of the ones that I really liked because there's a lot of detail on some of these. And they're super, super cool.
Okay.
And I've got to say, the cryptid landscape in Africa is maybe debatably even cooler than the ones here in the U.S. The U.S. ones tend to be more fantastical, maybe even sci-fi in nature with some of it, very mythological.
They're a bunch newer, right? Like the U.S. has only been around for a couple hundo.
Yeah,
max.
exactly. So, but the running theme in the African ones, though, is like they're almost all like the Loch Ness Monster, in that they're all way less fantastical in nature and much more ancient species in nature, if that makes sense. What I mean by that is like they all could be explained as like a leftover dinosaur or something. And
Sure.
we'll talk about
Yeah.
that. And while the proof
they could be explained that way, but that would be the burden of proof would be on the person who said
Well,
it, right?
yeah, well, yeah. So we're just going to talk about a few that have a lot of at least sightings from ancient explorers all the way up to 2016. And while the proof varies wildly from cryptid to cryptid, just as it does out here in the U.S., there's no denying that if I were to believe in any of them personally, I think these are the more believable in nature, especially with one in particular I'm really excited about. Okay. And the first one we're going to cover is probably the closest to the Loch Ness Monster as a whole. Its name is Mokele Mbembe, which translates into the one who stops the flow of rivers, from the Lingala language. This one's probably the most popular of all of the African cryptids, and I wouldn't be too surprised if either of you have at least heard it in passing, or maybe by another name, because it does kind of come up another name, and some consider that to be a separate cryptid, but I don't by what research I've done. The Mokele Mbembe is a large, smooth creature, at the very least the size of a hippopotamus.
Just like me.
But what?
Just like me.
Is this the size of a hippopotamus, or
Large,
just a smooth
size of a
large,
hippo?
smooth, size of
I'm
hippo?
coming for you. I'm the most deadly boy in the
That's it.
jungle.
Dude, I don't know, man. You're closer to Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. But they can be as large as an elephant. It has an incredibly long, said to be very muscular neck. It's also apparently incredibly flexible. Its skin is known to be a brownish gray, and it only has one very large tooth.
Okay, are you fucking with me, or is this just me? Are you just describing me?
You just had the one large tooth? What's up?
Yeah.
Its tail, though, is its best weapon, as it's also said to be long and strong like an alligator's or a crocodile's. It said it'll destroy canoes on sight without hesitation and everybody who are inside of it, though it will not be eaten. The people are just kind of left as a bloody pulp in the rivers that they're found in. The first known mention of this creature actually popped up in a 1909 book called Beasts and Men, which was the autobiography of the then very, very famous big game hunter Carl Hagenbeck. He was told from 2 different sources that the famed creature could be found in Rhodesia. The natives of the area described the creature as, quote, half elephant, half dragon. But it wasn't just the natives that he was getting stories from, but he also got an account from somebody by the name of Joseph Mangus, who was a, quote, naturalist, unquote. So, okay. Yep, sorry, continue, please.
What about this is like not just like it's an animal?
The way it sounds like the way it's described is a brontosaurus.
I see what you're
exactly.
saying. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
I will say, I know this. I know this.
I figured
not
you might.
From what you think. I'm gonna send you a link.
Okay.
I'm gonna send everyone on a wild chase on the internet.
Okay.
Literally go look up Baby Secret of the Lost Legend.
Yeah.
It
Oh
is
my God.
literally what this is about.
Okay.
It's a
We used to have this
1985 movie.
We used to have this movie at Blockbuster. Yeah, Mokele Mbembe.
There you go.
The plot is literally a paleontologist goes to Central Africa and discovers this creature.
Buena Vista, 1985, 95 minutes.
They have it on, because where they go looking for it and they say they found it. Is that what the thing is? Because I've never seen this movie.
They find it, and they find his parents, and they're trying to King Kong it, and then
okay,
the other
interesting.
The other one, it's like the doctor wants to take it and make money off it, and the military wants to kill it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
And then,
that's interesting. I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, it's like an ET situation. Sean Young is in it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like at the end the local tribesmen come and help and save the day.
Oh, cool. Oh,
And
maybe
the
I'll
dude
watch
from
it
The
at
Prisoner
some
is in
point.
it too.
Well, there you go.
like
That's
The
why you
Prisoner.
know it. I've never seen that movie. It's interesting.
Baby.
It did not get very well reviewed.
No, it did not.
It's not a great movie, but it is topical to what we're discussing.
That's very true. It's very true. Well, Carl Hagenbeck is actually a very interesting and important person to history as a whole. If you don't know who he is, then hopefully this will help you. I've got some fun facts about this guy written down. First, very simply, big game hunter was kind of all-encompassing as to what he did, because he kind of did a lot, but his big main focus was that he was a merchant of wild animals for European zoos, as well as for P.T. Barnum. He basically went out into the jungles and captured wild animals and sold them off.
Although, let's be clear,
this is
P.T. Barnum not the most reliable source on animals.
Oh, absolutely
that dude just
not.
made animals up.
Yeah,
he was like,
floating
yeah,
snake.
yeah. This is not about P.T. Barnum though. This is just
I'm just saying.
He sold animals.
I can imagine P.T. Barnum knows a guy who's like, yeah, I just stuffed like a rabbit head on this snake body. And it's a snake a bit.
It's a mermaid, I tell you. It's a monkey and a fish.
Yeah.
Well, what Carl Hagenbeck's best known for is what's known within the zoo world as the Hagenbeck Revolution in zoos. He was the first one to do the whole natural habitats thing in zoos at that time, to try and create an atmosphere for the animals that was similar to where they came from. And then it was widely adopted over time. He also had the most successful privately owned zoo in Germany, the Tierpark Hagenbeck, which is still operational to this day, but it moved to Hamburg-Stillingen in 1907. Now, you're a 14-year-old. You're Carl Hagenbeck. You're 14. It's about to be your birthday. Your dad's about to get you a gift. What does... he's got to be in the 1880s. What do you buy your boy for his 14th birthday?
In the 1880s, 14?
In the 1880s, what do you get? A coffin.
I was going to say wedding gift, but coffin is works too.
A second pair of shoes.
Yeah, oh God. Arsenic if you're one of the Black Widows that we covered.
Silver acid.
His first bar of soap.
Interesting choices.
Yeah.
Well, Carl Hagenbeck, his father at 14, gave him as a gift some seals and a polar bear.
Some seals?
Multiple seals and a polar bear.
Well, there were some seals, but when they opened it was just a polar bear.
Just a bloody polar
bear. He had a napkin, and he was sitting on his hind legs, like dabbing his, like
he gives you a puppy dog eyes, and he just does the burp.
Walrus and the Carpenter vibes. He's kind of scared. He's kind of disgusted with himself, but what are you gonna do? He's a polar bear.
All that's really fun, and Hagenbeck is interesting. But this final fact is what makes Hagenbeck a peculiar, interesting character from the early 1900s to an asshole from the early 1900s who did some horrific crimes on humanity. Hagenbeck was also, in his career as an adult, what was known back then as an ethnography showman. Do any of you know what an ethnography showman is? Because translated,
is it a racist?
It is human zoos.
Yep, I knew it. I knew it was going to be something shitty.
Yep. He would go out into the wilderness and kidnap the wild people, the native people that lived out there, and put them in zoos. There was a Bronx showing every day from 2 to 4 p.m. of this one particular woman in her natural habitat where she held a monkey.
I knew it was going to be something shitty.
Yep.
I knew it. That's like a common attraction at like the World's Fair and shit for many years. Was the
way back then
zoo of humans.
Yeah, yep, that was his thing. He found it fascinating, and he found it scientifically like a thing that needed to be done so he could understand and blah blah. And he thought he was being very like the way it comes off is he told himself he was being very kind by also doing the type of natural habitat style zoo for the people as well.
I'd like to think that if cameras were achievable in those days, that maybe he would have made a documentary instead.
You would hope.
I would hope
that modern era he would have been a bit more of a kinder individual.
Yeah.
But that's the person who went hunting for this particular cryptid.
Mokele Mbembe?
Yeah, he went out looking for the Mokele Mbembe. The Mokele Mbembe. I'll say it 10 times fast.
It's all good.
I appreciate it. Hagenbeck naturally went looking for this thing as a big game hunter, but came up short, as surprised by no one, and never ended up finding the creature. The mention of this creature created, though, quite a bit of media boom back in the day. Keep in mind, he mentioned it in his book in 1909, and he's talking about a time he went looking for it years before.
20 years before?
So when this
years before?
Yeah, and so when this book hit, it created quite a media boom, and a bunch of people went looking for this thing. Which I wish we could kind of be a part of nowadays, honestly. I wonder what that media boom was like, where there's just excitement in the newspapers about a fantastical creature.
I mean, we say that, but I definitely remember when like 4,000 influencers showed up to take pictures with big ice cream. So,
you're right.
I don't. I don't know what you're talking about.
Things
actually.
like, those like places that are just like, oh, it's a pop-up. And we're here, and you get to dress like you're in The Shining for some reason. Like,
gotcha.
Weird.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I guess that's probably a modern day version of that for sure. But it spurred on a ton of people over the course of the next decades, to go looking for this thing. One of the earliest ones was the German adventurer by the name of Lieutenant Paul Gratz. According to his 1911 account, he says, quote, "The crocodile is found only in very isolated specimens in Lake Bangweulu, except in the mouths of the large rivers in the north. In the swamp lives the Nasanga, much feared by the natives, a degenerate saurian, which one might well confuse with the crocodile were it not that its skin has no scales and its toes are armed with claws. I did not succeed in shooting a Nasanga, but on the island of Mumbwala, I came by some strips of its skin." Unquote. And when he says saurian, he means the degenerate saurian means like dinosaur, just like a dinosaur creature.
Yeah, see, that's to me like that's way cool. I would go on a fucking
hunt for this thing,
dinosaur adventure, like
a dinosaur hunt. $20,000 goal, $20,000 goal is a dinosaur hunt. We'd need a lot more equipment.
Guys, look. $20K on the Patreon. I'll basically do I'll basically go on any adventure once I can travel the world again.
We do the podcast as we travel.
Bullshit you guys want. I'll go to every stupid museum in every city in the whole world. Like, I don't care. I'm there.
I'd be with you, dude. Don't doubt it. Continuing later on, the next decade, in 1927, a memoir by Alfred Aloysius Smith, who was at the time of the encounter in the late 1800s working for the British Trading Company. And in his memoir, he says, "Aye, and behind the Cameroon there's things living we know nothing about. I could have made books about many things. The Jago Nini, they say, is still in the swamps and rivers. Great diver, it means. Comes out of the waters and devours people. Old men will tell you what their grandfathers saw, but they still believe it's there. Same as the Amali I've always taken it to be. I've seen the Amali's footprint, about the size of a good frying pan in circumference and 3 claws instead of 5. Unquote.
Size of a good frying pan?
A good frying pan. None of them shitty frying pans,
like,
dude.
What does that mean, a good frying pan?
This
How
is the
big
1920s.
Is that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I love that.
The Amali is also another name that the cryptid we're speaking about is the Michele is called by. It's the same. If you look it up, if you look up the Amali, there's separate accounts and separate information about it, but descriptions of it all look the same. It looks like the same cryptid to me. I really don't understand why there. Maybe there's a size difference or something.
Maybe somebody just like started telling the story different.
Yeah, maybe.
You know?
Yeah. It's wild. It's wild, but it's fun. But there's still one more from the 1950s. An account. This is gonna be the final excerpt from the book Exotic Zoology, 1959, written by Willie Ley, who quotes a report that was never published by a man by the name of Ludwig Frere von Stein Zulausnitz.
Yep.
Whew.
Yep.
Sure. Okay, that's him.
And this is about the creature. He said in this apparent unpublished report, quote, "The animal is said to be of a brownish gray color with smooth skin. Its size is approximately that of an elephant, at least that of a hippopotamus. It is said to have a long and very flexible neck, and only one tooth, but a very long one. Some say it's a horn. A few spoke about a long muscular tail like that of an alligator. Canoes coming near it are said to be doomed. The animal is said to attack the vessels at once and kill the crews, but without eating the bodies.
What?
The creature is said to live in the caves that have been washed out by the river in the clay of the shores at sharp bends. It is said to climb the shores even at daytime in search of food. Its diet is said to be entirely vegetable. This feature disagrees with a possible explanation as a myth. The preferred plant was shown to me. It is a kind of liana with large white blossoms, with a milky sap and apple-like fruits. At the Sambo River, I was shown a path said to have been made by this animal in order to get at its food. The path was fresh and there were plants of the described type nearby. But since there were too many tracks of elephants and hippos and other large mammals, it was impossible to make out a particular spore with any amount of certainty." Unquote.
The thing that's crazy about this, right, is that like, how many times, like, and I'm sure this is different for everybody, but like, you guys go out for a walk from time to time, right?
Yeah,
just
of course.
Like in the closest you can get to wilderness around your zone, right?
Yep.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how often are you walking and you see something and you're like, what in the fuck are you? You know what I mean? Like, be it like
Never.
a small bug or like something.
Oh.
Like, sometimes you see something and you're just like, what is that thing?
I thought you meant some silhouette in the distance.
No,
that's
no,
like
not
a large
like
creature.
Yeah, not like the Mokele and Bembe. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I was like, never
No,
never
I'm just saying,
happens
like,
to me,
like,
Alex.
you see a creature, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
If you imagine like going into the jungle or going into some place like that's like uncharted, like I don't know what to, like where the line is drawn between like that's just part of it here and that's like this is like some sort of special creature that's like magic or something.
Yeah. Well, the magic. I mean, dude, maybe it's just a dino. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what it's
Like, how does the dino even get there? Like, the idea is like how it is in Ice Age, the movie.
Yeah, or just like they just survived somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
The creature, at least like nowadays, it probably doesn't exist. Expeditions looking for the creature have happened consistently over the decades until as recently as 2016, when a small documentary indie crew went into South Africa, from South Africa rather, went looking for 4 weeks out in the wilderness, and then they later sold that footage to Discovery Africa. They unfortunately, they found nothing. I think you can watch it. I think you can watch it if you can get your hands on it from Discovery Africa. But they found nothing, and when speaking to locals, they would say it was difficult for them to determine whether the locals are speaking about this creature in a physical sense or a spiritual sense, because it seemed like they were swapping interchangeably without really differentiating, just the way they spoke about it. Other locals said that that they haven't seen it, and some believe that if it did exist, the last one died out around a decade ago.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, it's sad, but it's also fascinating because there's in 2001,
Yep.
there was a series that they went to the Congo and they talked with some pygmies in the Congo.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were shown illustrations of what the Mokele could look like, they all pointed to the rhinoceros.
Oh, interesting.
And so they pointed to the rhino, and they're like, well, there are no rhinos in this part of Africa, so maybe that's why it's so rare and weird here to natives and locals, because, like, for centuries, it was like, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah.
And it also is sad then, because if it died off, that's like another rhino.
Yeah, that's sad as hell, yeah.
Yeah. That's messed up.
So
like
what,
I said,
what are they actually proposing is the cause then? Like them seeing it by chance?
In 2001, the BBC sent a team to the Congo to investigate, and they collected an interview with a bunch of the Biaka pygmies.
Okay.
I hope I'm saying that right. Who identified the Mokele Mbembe as a rhinoceros while looking at an illustrated manual of wildlife.
Right. And so
neither species of African rhino is common in the Congo Basin, and the Mokele may be a mixture of mythology and folklore from a time when rhinos were found in the area.
That's what
I see.
Almost all of the cryptids in like this in Africa are like that, where they could easily be seen as like a rare species of something that's just being seen in like catching glimpses of it.
That's because Africa has so many unique biomes.
Oh yeah.
That it makes sense that something from one biome could have wandered into another.
That's true.
And the people living in that area who do not travel outside of that biome would be like, what is that?
Yeah, that's true.
It's possible.
It's cool, man. And obviously going over all this, there's very little actual physical evidence out there. There are actual photos of what people believe are footprints of it, and you can go look it up. Just look up Mbembe footprint photos. But to me, looking at them and then like looking at hippo photos or hippo footprints photos, they kind of look the same. They all look very the same.
It makes real sense.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's that particular cryptid. We're only gonna do one more cryptid because there's a lot, and I wanted to do all of them, but two just enraptured me. And this is my favorite one, and this is by far the scariest one that I came across.
Okay.
So you went like the friendly one.
Yeah, we do the friendly one first. Yeah, and then as for the people who listen to this when they go to bed, we end off with something that'll hopefully give you horrendous
so they're already
nightmares.
Asleep right now. They've already passed out.
They're either asleep
oh my
or
God.
they're begging their son to bring them a bigger gun.
Can I tell you something?
I need 12, bring my AUT-38. Sorry, Jesse.
I need to find this clip for you guys. I need to play it on a future episode. So I was listening to a podcast, and
how dare you?
In the podcast, it was like one of those like I'm gonna go to sleep news podcasts. Yeah. And so I was listening to it, and the commercial that they played halfway through it was like beep, 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 like some like 1,000 voices doing that, and I like woke up in the middle of the night like terrified. And it was like yeah, and I was like, what the hell? And then it's like a new podcast coming this spring. I was like, what the hell was that? It was the rudest thing I've ever. Hey, podcasts out there, never play commercials that will terrify your audience when they're trying to like go to bed. Don't do that.
Especially if you're a sleepy kind of podcast. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You know you're a sleepy
terrifying.
podcast too. Don't pretend you're not. That's your niche, and you run that niche, man. Be the best sleepy podcast you can.
And now to scare you.
Hell yeah. The next cryptid is absolutely the scariest and most interesting, and even potentially based on something that exists to this day. And that, my friends, is the Jabba Fofi.
Okay.
What?
Take that one.
Exactly.
What is it?
The Jabba Fofi.
2 words?
Jabba
2 words.
Fofi.
J''BA, capital F, lowercase o, capital F, lowercase I.
Yeah.
Primarily believed to reside within the Congo, this particular cryptid is a spider-like creature in sizes up to 4 feet in 4 feet long, tall, whatever you want to call it.
You don't even have to tell me that's a cryptid. I would believe somewhere deep in the Congo is a 4-foot spider.
That's what I'm fucking saying. Like, what the fuck?
I would believe
it's
that
probably
shit.
real.
Right?
Big ass spider? Come on.
The legend goes.
I believe that.
The legend goes that the Jabba Fofi is similar in behavior to a trapdoor spider. They dig shallow tunnels.
He's waiting.
Yeah, they dig shallow tunnels under the roots of very large trees while camouflaging the entrance with leaves of the surrounding area. Then, after everything's been covered and camoed up, the Jabba Fofi lines the whole outer area with web similar to tripwires. When its next meal comes through and snags on a wire, the spider-like creature leaps out and chases them into its nearby web, where it then pierces it with its fangs, filling it with an extremely painful venom, paralyzing the creature and eating it alive.
You're just describing a spider to me. Like,
yeah,
just
you
in
really
general,
are just
like,
describing
just all spiders.
A 4-foot spider.
A 4-foot long spider that has
mainly
just
on toddlers, wayward toddlers.
It's awful. Yeah. It's horrifying. And even at the end of this, there may actually exist a little bit of video footage of this thing.
Shut up.
Uh-huh.
No. Where?
Uh-huh.
No, I don't even want to see it.
I want to see it.
I believe you.
I want to see it right away.
I don't want to see this shit.
I got to see it immediately.
The Jabba Fofi also lays eggs that are pale yellow white and shaped like peanuts. Natives claim the hatchlings are bright yellow with a purple abdomen. The coloration becomes darker and brown as they mature. Some of the peoples indigenous to the regions of the Congo where the Jabba Fofi is primarily seen assert that the spider was once quite common, but has since become very rare thanks to human encroachment in developing cities. The very first sighting of the Jabba Fofi, at least by Western eyes, was in the 1890s by the Lake Nyassa, during which British missionary Arthur Jones Symes and his men came upon one of these creatures. His men got themselves tangled in an enormous web in 2 giant spiders, which were apparently, quote, 2 and 4 feet in length apart, 2 and 4 feet in length individually, unquote, to presumably a male and a female, came out of their web and attacked them. Symes was bitten, but managed to escape after shooting one of them with his pistol. He subsequently developed symptoms, including deathly pallor, severe chills, swelling around the area where he was bitten, and became delirious before dropping into unconsciousness. He ultimately succumbed to these effects and died.
Whoa.
R.I.P. little adventuring man. They're also mentioned in other books. Particularly the more older of the ones is a cryptozoological book by the name of by George Eberhardt. Specifically in this book, the terrifying experience of an English couple traveling through a region of jungle in what is now called the Congo. Quote, R.K. Lloyd and his wife were motoring in the Belgium Congo in 1938 when they saw a large object crossing the trail in front of them. At first, they thought it was a cat or a monkey, but they soon realized it was a spider with legs nearly 3 feet long. Famous naturalist and cryptozoologist William J. Gibbons has hunted for what some think may be a living Congolese dinosaur. Mokele Membe also went looking for the spider, but could not find any evidence of their existence except for the stories shared with him. And if you go looking on YouTube, video for the Jabba Membe, it's caught on a security footage. In the distance, you can see it dangle just for a moment in the distance as it hovers for about a second or two before it scurries off, barely noticeable in the background. Now, you might say, yeah, exactly, Jesse's gonna watch this video, and it's there's a reason it's not shown often.
If you find the real one, will you link it, Jesse?
Oh yeah, let me just get you the video. I should have just linked it to you because
I just want to make sure I don't watch the wrong one.
Yeah, of course. I'm sorry. Jabba Fofi on camera.
I hate this.
Yeah, it's not great.
Fof me up, baby. I'm here, baby. Come eat me.
I'm here, baby.
Come eat my children, baby. Peanut eggs. Old peanut eggs.
Here you go.
All right, here we go. We're going in.
Yeah, watch. You have to, because this is with somebody having turned up the brightness so you can see the movement. That's how hard it is to see in this thing. So as you watch, I'll give you the timestamp. It's around the 30-ish second mark.
All right, I'm jumping
if
to 25.
memory serves. Oh no, okay. So it's by the 45-second mark, over by the tree on the right.
Okay, let's.
Underneath the leaves in the dark area, you're gonna see after a few seconds something just move away.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know why that's the Jabba Fofi. Hold on.
Because I guess it's huge.
Oh no, I do kind of see like a fucked up creature.
Yeah, you see you see the thing underneath the tree?
Yeah.
And then and then it scurries off. It's real hard to see any detail on this thing. If you want people who are listening, look up Jabba caught on camera filter 2. It's just brightness turned up so you can see it.
45 seconds.
It's right at the 45-second-ish mark. You can
Like
see it come under the tree and then scurry off. Yeah. I'll try to remember to put the link in
the far background.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see you can start at 40 seconds if you want, and you can see it kind of like barely come into frame under the tree. If you want to even start at 37 seconds, you might get a better.
Blind. Good thing I can't see it. I'm looking at it and I just can't see it.
All right, go to 37 seconds, Jesse.
Go to 30.
Yep, I'm going to put you far back.
Right now.
Okay, so watch under the right-hand tree under the leaf area in the dark spot. You're going to see like a blurred pixelation.
It's like a little blurry.
Yeah, and then it goes off.
You know what it looks like it looks like one of those face huggers.
Kinda. I guess you could kind of consider it like a face hugger.
It's so blurry that it's like non-threatening.
I can kind of see it. I can kind of see that element of it, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
Unfortunately, that's the only evidence that currently exists of the Jabba Fofi, but I wouldn't put it past a 4-foot spider to exist.
Absolutely, I believe there's a 4-foot spider in the air. A lot of the cryptids in Africa are like a giant snake.
It's like a really
do you want to do one more
version? Yeah.
Do you want to do one more? We can do one more. One more cryptid.
Are you kidding me?
All right. Yeah, the Mbele Mekele is the one that had the most info and the most to dive into. Everything else is kind of quick and easily disprovable or has very little evidence, like the spider. But that spider, even the artist rendition of it that's out there, you can go look it up. Look up artist rendition of Jabba Fofi. It's horrifying. It's just, no, I don't want to run into that thing. We'll go to another dinosaur-like creature, the Kasai Rex.
What? It has Rex in the last name?
Hell yeah, dude. It's the Kasai Rex. What do you think it looks like?
T-Rex.
Yeah,
Correct.
T-Rex,
It's basically a T-Rex. It is basically a T-Rex. It's a gigantic theropod cryptid found also in the Republic of Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Supposedly, it is a offshoot tangential surviving species of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, as the cryptid's namesake tends to imply. Although it's unlikely to. There are photos of this thing existing, but we're going to talk about why they are absolutely hoaxes and how easy it was to fake pictures back then.
It's just Jurassic Park footage.
No, these are photos from the 1930s, my friend. Even easier. Oddly, even easier. You think, how do you Photoshop photos from the 1930s? Well, you'll find out. Don't worry. In 1932, a Swedish hunter by the name of John Johnson, sometime called John Johansson, wanted to hunt a
just to mix it up.
Yeah, he just wanted to throw it out. John Johnson, John Johansson. That's how he throws it off. He wanted to go hunt an elephant back in 1932. So he and his servant left their camp in Cape Town. They crossed a swamp until finally reaching the savannah in the Kasai Valley, which seemed desolate as there were no animals anywhere.
You gotta feel for that servant. He was like, "We're going where? Yeah, we're going out in the jungle to go hunt some animals." Oh, very well, sir.
Yeah,
you know that dude was like,
how many?
Son of a bitch. Okay.
How many servants do you think who were big game hunter people's servants try to make a break for it in the jungle?
Oh, I would have been like, he accidentally shot himself.
Crazy. Oh my God! You bring him back with the body.
How'd that happen?
Yeah, that's so sad, dude.
Bring him back.
I guess I'll go home. I guess I'll go free.
Yeah. He always told me
free now.
his biggest hope was that I could be free after he died and give me a good 5 years of freedom.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Oh well.
You believe me, right?
Anyway, this poor servant was dragged down to the jungle and then was brought into a desolate valley where no animals were anywhere to shoot. That was until the servant cried out in excitement when he saw 2 elephants. So Johnson or Johansson, however he was feeling that particular day, cocked his shotty, head over to the animals, but something was wrong with the animals. There were 2 of them, and it was supposed to be a pack. About 44 meters away, there was something in the underbrush stalking the elephants. Before long, it jumped out and started hunting the elephants. The servant dropped into the undergrowth while Johnson, paralyzed, changed aim and decided to shoot this strange creature. He shot him 3 times, and only one shot hit hitting the creature in the back. You know what? He needed to get the Gormans. They hit every shot they shot, dude.
Dude,
every time they fired
like
on
Muldoon from Jurassic Park.
They were.
Yeah.
They should have went on this journey. It would have been better for him. He shot him 3 times, and only 1 shot hit him, hitting the creature on the back. The creature backed away and left. Johnson raised his servant and decided to go back to his camp in Cape Town, but first they had to cross the swamp. When they were halfway to the swamp, they heard a splash, thought of crocodiles, and so he looked everywhere until he saw 22 meters away the very same creature that they saw in the savannah, tearing the hump of a rhinoceros off of its back.
Oh my
and
God.
That with
God.
1 bite tore off the rhinoceros's leg.
Jesus Christ.
Johnson's servant ran terrified, while John stayed there and watched. He immediately thought of shooting the animal, remembered, terrified that the servant had taken it, and that the animal just ran off rather unfettered. But he still had his camera, so he took a photo of the creature, which upon hearing the click, sank quickly into the lake, while the rhinoceros's body floated in a pool of blood.
Where is this photo? Let's see this photo.
Oh, we're going to get to the photos. Don't you?
Why are you holding off on this photo?
Friggin' worry.
Where is this photo?
Upon returning to camp, John walked shivering and shaking the camera, collapsed, and the men in there picked him up. Quote, "It was reddish in color, with blackish colored stripes," he said. "It had a long snout and numerous teeth." He decided that the creature was about 43 feet long. Was it a Tyrannosaurus? He decided that it was a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and also said the legs were thick and it reminded me of a lion built for speed.
That sounds like when a grandpa like gets scared of something and he's trying to like make it sound like really scary.
Really scared to make him sound like he's a badass.
43 feet long, I said. I tell you, it was a Tyrannosaurus Rex with lion's legs.
At the beginning of the next year, 1933, a group made up of 5 hunters went to Kasai Valley to hunt the creature called the Kasai Rex by the newspaper Rhodesia Herald, which they thought was a crocodile giant, and that they would hunt to sell their skin at a good price. They arrived at the valley and passed through the same swamp where Johnson had spent the previous year. One of the hunters was frightened to see a reddish tail sink into the lake. They thought it was an anaconda. Until the atmosphere became tense, they readied their weapons, but were surprised by a wave of water that fell on them from the left side. The reddish tail had left the marsh violently and hit one of the hunters, who fell into the water. The other 4 began to shoot at the reddish mass that submerged, but they saw nothing, only waves of water that dispersed throughout the surface. The fallen man with a broken arm got up and tried to reach his companions. There was a roar from under the water. They moved as fast as possible, but their path was hindered by a giant creature that came out on the right side, that was submerged on the left side. The hunters had hidden themselves in a rock, and in the end, they left the area.
In a rock?
No other confirms. So yeah, they hit a rock and then they ran off. The thing didn't come out of the water.
Okay.
So, you might be wondering, well, there's pictures, dude. What's going on with the pictures? Why weren't there any alleged photos? Well, one picture depicts a monitor lizard-like creature on top of a rhinoceros. Well, and the other was from the guy who went on the expedition. Both were proven as hoaxes, as the lizard had actually been cut out from a nature magazine. The second photo shows a Tyrannosaurus. The second photo shows a T-Rex-like creature eating a rhinoceros, which has been confirmed to be an image from the Valley of Gwangi, cut on top and placed on top of the rhinoceros. So another magazine was cut. It's just another magazine, a magazine from the area.
Can I see these pictures?
Yeah, you can Google it. You can see all these pictures.
The Kasai Rex picture is hilarious.
It's great, dude. It's so good.
You can see the white outline around the lizard.
The third picture shows a kind of monitor-like lizard with stripes roaring, but it looks like a monitor lizard, so it's likely just a monitor lizard.
Deadass just looks like Disneyland.
Yes, doesn't it? Like, that's what they did. They cut out a photo, they put it on top of another photo, then took a picture of that. Like, it's just, God, it's so obvious. And that, my friends, is the Kasai Rex, the T-Rex-like creature that supposedly exists in the Congo. But
I love the fan art, but I hate the pictures.
Another very popular sighting that we're not going to cover because there's no point in covering it is another very popular sighting out in Africa is dragons. like fire breathing
Western
wings
dragons?
like dragons, but like it's there's speculation as to whether the fire breathing comes from acid that they believe whatever they were running into was spitting at them and it burned like fire. And so that's where the legends kind of came from. But dragons are another popular cryptid in Africa.
Just straight up dragons.
Yep. Straight up dragons.
Just like people are reporting dragon sightings like UFO sightings.
Yep. If we do another part 2 on Africa, which I'd like to do, the other supernatural like creature the only supernatural like creature beyond a dragon that I'd like to cover are actual jungle ghouls, like humanoid like creatures that are like stalk you in the forest and may or may not be confused with cannibals and stuff like that, but who knows?
Fucking horrific.
Yeah.
There's also like skinwalker types.
Yes,
Like,
there are.
There's one that is literally like a lightning bird witch doctor, and then one that's like a one-eyed bat.
There's such
man
cool stuff
who
out there.
masquerades as a human during the day, then at night becomes like a one-eyed bat and is like, "I'll suck your blood." Yeah, there's so many cool things.
Yeah.
In African lore, it's great.
I feel like a lot
Ancient
of the-
astronauts are actually another big one out there.
I feel like a lot of the weird things from Africa that like explorers bring back, like,
Yeah.
I think part of it just has to do with the fact that Africa was like at one point in time like a completely unknown land.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'd be willing to say still.
Yeah. I mean, the
unknown
jungles
land.
themselves, they're
Especially
impossible.
to Westerners.
I just mean, now you could see an ostrich and you wouldn't be like, "What the fuck?" But like, you know,
Yeah. And then two
back then,
long
it looked
legs,
like- it
three
looked like a
toes with
dinosaur.
claws.
or like
Yeah,
a lion
exactly.
is like so scary compared to
It
like
still
a
looks like a
mountain lion.
dinosaur.
It
Yeah.
does.
If you look at an ostrich, that's like the closest thing to some dinosaurs.
Yeah, like a secretary bird. Have you ever looked up one of those?
Nope.
Look that thing up.
The shoebill like the shoebill birds, those things are fucking crazy dinosaur looking too.
A secretary bird deadass looks like if you just put feathers on a dinosaur. It just looks like if there was a raptor that was like,
Oh yeah, I've seen these things.
Yeah.
They're freaking cool looking though.
yeah, I see him at the zoo all the time, and I'm looking at him and I'm like, that thing could ruin my life.
Yeah, if it just didn't
Yeah.
didn't like you anymore.
It's totally insane.
Well, thanks for coming along on this cryptid journey with me, gentlemen. It was fun to dive into some more like this type of thing,
Yeah.
like
That was
fairy
great.
tale lore type
Yeah,
stuff.
folklore stuff's always so like enriching.
Yes, it is. And I want to tease, I've got 2 big projects in the work. We all know, obviously, MK Ultra, but I've got, we finally got the next one that Kit is working on. I'm excited. We are finally going to be working on Roswell.
Oh ho ho ho!
I'm
Why are we
so
working on
pumped.
Roswell? We all know the aliens are at Wright Pat Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. Why are we doing this?
Because the Roswell crash remnants are now in Ohio, and that's where they were taken. They're not there.
Right,
anymore.
everything was
asking
taken at
almost
Wright
like a
Pat Air
joke
Force
question,
Base.
and then he's
Yeah, but
like,
there's an
"Well,
answer,
here's why."
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's an answer, baby. Roswell will be another like Skinwalker 4-parter, I think, because the Roswell is where we start. We have to break down Majestic 12. We have to break down.
Have you been to?
I've never been.
been?
I've never been.
Let's go. $10,000.
I'm down, dude. Yeah, wherever we go for the $10,000 like live special, I'm in.
Have you been to Area 51?
No,
I have, and I
I'm-
don't even believe in that.
I know, but I've
I
never
was
really
there.
traveled until like this job kind
You
of
probably
came
just
around.
didn't have the right headband on. You probably just weren't running fast enough.
I'm imagining, Jesse, then you know that Roswell, there's 2 crashes, not just one.
Right. There's
Yeah.
the crash and then the cover-up crash. Obviously,
Yeah,
let's
okay.
just,
come
boys,
on.
let's just go to the desert.
Well,
and
what if
get
both
weird.
crashes are real? Oh, we'll talk about it, baby.
They
but
aren't.
we're
They aren't.
that's where Majestic 12 is, and like we really got to break that down. So it's gonna be a big baby. I'm pumped. I'm so fucking excited to talk
I'm gonna buy
about
a
it.
telephoto lens and we're gonna go to the desert. That's what's gonna happen.
Let's do it, dude.
All I'm saying is,
let's do it. I would.
we barely went into Area 51 and had dudes in pickup trucks following us.
Yep.
So like,
And
you
now
know,
it's probably
Yeah.
worse.
just
Yeah, it's probably
now
way,
it's probably way worse. Be prepared.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, too. We're almost at 1,200 reviews on iTunes, and
Yo.
there's so many of you on Spotify that have just been dropping us some good reviews. You guys have been really spreading the word. We're glad we can keep you guys entertained. For those who are over on Patreon, we're going to go knock out a couple mini-sodes for you guys to listen to, so you can jump right over there and listen to them. And then don't worry, they're always timed exclusives. We just dropped the mini-soda compilation last week. You can expect another
You'll
one of
hear
those
them
in
all
about a
for
month.
free, but you can
Yeah,
hear
in
it
time.
now if you support us.
Correct. As well as get a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff on top of it.
Patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod.
Hell yeah. You can find us over on Twitter. I myself am at Mathis Games. Jesse's at Jesse Cox. Alex is at Fossiane A. The
Flaminga.
podcast itself is at Chilluminati Pod. Same thing with the subreddit. It's r/Chilluminati Pod. That thing has been popping off lately too. There's so many good stories popping up over there.
Yeah.
Lots. And there, Jesse, people had posted dreams up there for you to interpret. So maybe we'll do some more dreams.
Oh my god!
Maybe we'll do
Can I
some more
a dream
dreams.
interpretation
Yeah.
episode.
So
I can interpret, y'all. I can interpret dreams.
I know
I
you
am
can.
a dream interpretation
I
master.
can't believe how far you swing to the other side of the coin on that one specific
Yeah.
topic.
On that one topic.
That's because it's fun and not. It doesn't matter. It's not like it's real.
And on that, we're out of here, dudes. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for the support on Patreon. You guys made this our jobs. We love you for it. Goodbye.
Peace.
Bye.